Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the big news of the day. The topic for today's big news is India US 2 plus 2 dialogue. It was held yesterday, and in this short and crisp analysis, we'll understand the key highlights of this dialogue. So let's start. See, the topic is in the news because Defense Minister of India and Foreign Minister of India met with their counterparts Antony Blinken, who is the Secretary of the State, and Defense Secretary Austin. The meeting was held yesterday in Washington. It's their fourth annual meeting. The last such meeting was held on 4th October 2020. Against the backdrop of this meeting, a virtual meeting was held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Joe Biden. In the meeting, they discussed many issues related to South Asia, for example, the situation in Sri Lanka. They talked about India's humanitarian support to Ukraine. President Biden appreciated such an effort. Also, for the first time, Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemned the killings in Ukraine. He said that killing of innocent civilians in Ukraine's Bucha city were very worrying. Bucha is a town in Ukraine where images of mass graves had surfaced recently. The two leaders also talked about the effects of Russian war, which had destabilized the global markets. They particularly focused on bringing down the global volatility and addressing the supply chain issues that have risen from this war. Apart from that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also appreciated the slogan that President Biden had given after he became President of the United States. The slogan was Democracies Can Deliver, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that as India and United States are democracies, they can realize such an assertion. Now let's go back to the 2 plus 2 dialogue. The 2 plus 2 dialogue discussed many issues. Number one, they discussed the COVID-19 cooperation. The meeting mentioned that India and US have worked closely to combat COVID-19. For example, their scientists and institutions have developed together novel coronavirus vaccines to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, it was mentioned that the Quad partners have collectively provided more than 500 million vaccine doses to people. Now, Quad is a security organization apart from India and US. The other two members are Japan and Australia. The meeting also discussed the need for a rules based world order. In the meeting, both countries affirmed that they stand for a free and rules based international order which safeguards sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of the countries. Apart from COVID 19 and rules based order, they also discussed Quad and Russia Ukraine war. Quad, as I have mentioned, is a security organization whose members are India, United States, Japan, and Australia. The meeting discussed role of the Quad. It was affirmed that Quad has an important role to play in the Indo-Pacific region. United States affirmed that India is going to provide a key role in the Indo-Pacific region. About the Russia-Ukraine war, they discussed that it has disrupted the global supply chains. For example, the United States mentioned that Russian invasion in Ukraine has forced farmers to flee, and Russia has intentionally destroyed their farmlands and equipment. So that prevents Ukraine from exporting their wheat through Black Sea ports. This has caused disruption in the world food markets. So it was affirmed that both countries are working together to bring stability to the world food market by bringing more food and thus help the World Food Program. Now, World Food Program is a food assistance branch of United Nations. It's a large humanitarian organization that focuses on hunger and food security. It was established in 1961 and it's headquartered in Rome. So both these countries have affirmed their support to the World Food Program. Now, apart from these areas of discussion, a bilateral space awareness arrangement was signed between the two countries. This will bring the two countries together by sharing information and also cooperating in space. Now, the meeting becomes important not only because they signed this agreement on space awareness arrangement, also because it provided a chance for them to move beyond Ukraine. See, the United States and India relationship was seen as taking a hit because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Why? Because after the invasion, The sanctions were imposed on Russia and countries were discouraged from doing business with Russia. But India bought oil from Russia because it depends upon Russia for its energy needs and also for its defense supplies. Also, India had abstained from resolutions against Russia in the United Nations. Recently, it had abstained from the UN General Assembly resolution in which Russia was removed from the membership of UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Commission. Now, India has said that it wants to maintain a neutral stand between Russia and the Western powers. Also, in the meeting, it was affirmed that India buys less oil than the European countries. This meeting gives them a chance to move beyond the Ukraine crisis and develop their relationships. The meeting is also important because both the countries called on Pakistan that its territory shall not be used for terror attacks. India has been facing a problem of cross border terrorism, so the joint call is, in a sense, important for India. But there's been also one critical point that United States has raised against India. For example, Secretary Blinken said that US is monitoring human rights violations in India. Recently, the global reports have criticized India for its human rights violations. Also, there has been growing concern in the United States about human rights violations in India. Such a statement by Blinken is seen as a continuation of those concerns raised in the United States about human rights situation in India. See, the meeting is also important because it can bring the Quad members together and also resist Chinese influence in the Indo-Pacific region and create greater cooperation between these states to combat COVID-19 pandemic and also for other humanitarian efforts. With this, I would like to end this video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.